I think people think that Easton is a sleepy hollow.
Yeah,
There's not a lot
right.
going on, and
We got a couple of schools, and
I mean we're one of the larger, not the largest in it by any means, but we're one of the largest employers in Easton. We have over 120 people that work here, whether it's coaches, and that includes everybody. Our budget is around $6 million every year between the elementary school, the high school, the three churches. We have a very large staff. Like, I think my brothers used to ask me, they'd say, what do you do all day? And I said, I just sit and watch the phone and hope that it rings to give me something to do. Pope Francis has been very clear about what the mission of the church is. He calls it, what did he say? Like a MASH hospital almost, where you're out there among the people who are struggling and suffering, and you need to be there to bring healing. You don't have to always fix everything, but you've got to be there to bring healing to them and stuff like that. We don't talk about politics. We don't preach politics. We preach what, hopefully we preach what the church teaches, but also a pastoral way to apply that. And ultimately, whether we go contrary to what may be the current understanding of what the church's mission is, the bottom line is, if Jesus spent any time with anybody, he spent time with the poor and the outcast. Whether people want to admit it or not, that's the reality. So, we love God because God loved us first. And we don't do things so that God will love us. We do them because he loves us. And so it's not about merit. It's not about earning our way to heaven. It's about, because God has created us. And so we have a mission that we have to get out there and change the world. And it might be one person at a time. It might be one moment at a time, whatever. The great thing about Catholic theology, I think, is that we believe that people are good and do bad things. Other theologies would say that, you're a pile of dung and you have a nice white cloth over top of you, but ultimately you're a wretch. Well, we do wretched things, don't get me wrong, but ultimately we're good and we just get off track. And so it's all about getting back on track. It's about saying, okay, screwed up again. We're going to start over again, and with God's grace, and only with God's grace can we do that. So I think that's what I try to do, and I tell stories and make fun of myself and talk about going to the shrink and being on medication and all that. And they're looking at me like, oh, Father, you're so funny. I'm like, no, it's the truth. So what it's helped people do is feel comfortable coming to talk about it. And, helping people realize, you would never tell a diabetic, just go out and do something nice for somebody. Don't worry about that medication. Just go out and do something nice. You'll feel better. We don't tell that to anybody who's got physical illness. If you have depression or anxiety or any of that kind of stuff, well, just go out and do something nice for somebody. You'll feel better. No, I'm sorry. When it's clinical, that ain't the answer. I said, we're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call here anytime if you have an issue or you're in a bad space. I don't care what the issue is. I don't care if you're Catholic. We will do. Now, we can't do everything for everybody, but, when that phone goes off and I see Saints Peter and Paul on my phone at 2 o'clock in the morning, I know it's not, somebody calling about mass times. You know what I mean? They did call it the Francis effect. And it went to, I think it proved that it didn't necessarily increase the numbers. I think it did probably in some places. And I think you had people who were disenchanted with the church, coming back. But here's the thing, and I know this is really hard. You can never put your faith in a man. You gotta come to church, and I know it's, some people like homilies better, some people like the way people sing and preach and do this and all that. And I know it's part of who we are, and as leaders. But we are a frail group of sinners and all those kinds of things. And, so you need to, if you can, you need to be coming to church because it's something you feel that it's, it's an important aspect of your life, no matter who the Pope is. And I think Francis would say the same thing. Don't go because of me. Go because of God, because you feel like this is something that you need in your life. I mean, it is proven that people who are part of a church, whether it's a Jewish synagogue or whether it's a Protestant church or whether it's Catholic or whatever, maybe, I don't know about Muslim, but I don't know the statistics on that, but that, people have oftentimes, not always, but have healthier marriages. Marriages are stronger, families are stronger, all that, because it's not, you don't become kind of insulated into your own little world, that there is a bigger world out there, and you realize that there are things that we can do to help others, and that we need to come out of ourselves a little bit. John the 23rd always said this before he went to bed. You know who John the 23rd is from this, called the Second Vatican Council. He said, "Okay, Lord, it's your church now, I'm going to bed." And he said that really helped him sleep every night, because and I think I have a lot to worry about. Well, and he had tons to worry about, and a church that was in turmoil, and he's going to call this council and flip everybody out and all this. And he said, "No, Lord, it's your church now, I'm going to sleep." And I don't do that, because there are times when I do toss and turn, but I don't lose a lot of sleep, because I know that I got to be up and at it the next day.